back, everyone, to an episode of the Wrestling Wives.
Yes.
We're really excited today because we have not our first guest, but our first wrestling wife guest. So, Callie Poeta's here today with us.
Hi. Thanks for having me on. I was really excited to talk to you ladies because I just think it's cool what you're doing, and bringing awareness to wrestling in general is just awesome. So anything to bring awareness to our sport is awesome to me. So thank you.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? There might be some people out there that don't know who you are or anything like that. So, just really basic introduction.
So in the wrestling world, I am Mike Poeta's wife, and we have 4 kids. 2 boys who are wrestlers. My son Rylan is going to be 13, and he wrestles IKWF and IESA. So we do both. And he's a novice this year, an older novice. And then my son Nico he just turned 7, and his birthday is the cutoff for him being a Bantam this year. So he's like the youngest of the Bantam group this year. So it's a tougher season for him. But we live in Champaign. Mike is the head coach at the University of Illinois. And yeah, we're just all in on wrestling between being a wrestling wife and mom. Yeah, I just resonate with what you guys have to talk about and the things you guys say in your podcast. I enjoy listening to you guys, and yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, cool. So, we asked ourselves this question on our first podcast.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of thrown it back to you. What was your first encounter with wrestling in general?
So the high school that I went to, there were, I think, on the team 4 state qualifiers. So we had a pretty good team. I grew up in Gurnee, so Warren High School was my high school. And somehow me being friends with a couple of the guys on the team turned into me being the manager for my junior year. And I don't really remember much of it. I just remember like going on the bus, going to some of the schools, and I just didn't really continue that after. And then it really was not until I met Mike that wrestling came back up again. So the time that I met him was the I would the basically it was November, beginning of November of his first IKWF season as the Wrestling Factory, when he was in the building that he bought, that he ended up staying in. So it was in 2014, and he was all in on youth wrestling, coaching high school and youth. And he lived in like Bluff, which was maybe like 10 minutes from where the club was at. And I worked as a manager at a restaurant that was in between the club and his house. And one night it was like minutes until close, like barely 9 o'clock. And he shows up, and I'm like I'm ready to just go home at this point. Like, I don't want to take any more patrons at the restaurant. And I had sent home all the servers and the bartender. And so I just had a cook with me who was like finishing things up. It was a Monday night, and he walks in, and I wanted to turn him away, but I was like, you're kind of cute. So I'll keep talking, I'll like serve you. So I said, let me ask the chef if he will make food. Otherwise, I'll just like pour you a drink. So the cook was like, yeah, no problem. I'll like make him something. And then he sat at the bar, and 2 hours later, we ended our conversation, and he said a lot of stuff about wrestling and the gym, and we just kind of chatted about life. And then the next day, well, he left his number, his name, and the Poeta Training Center website address on a piece of paper for me. he like won't admit that, but I still have it. So I like prove it. Like you literally did this. And so when I went on the website, I was like, okay, I guess he was like kind of a good wrestler. Yeah, there was like credentials and some YouTube videos and like highlight videos and stuff that he's probably so embarrassed that he even had those on there now. But I guess when you're like trying to promote yourself as a business owner and coach, you're like, hey, this is, my credentials. Yeah, so we just honestly it started as like you want to help around with stuff at the club. So we actually started like a boot camp because during the day there was no kids in there wrestling. And it just kind of evolved from there. And then I became like fully the behind the scenes person, like doing a lot of things for him that he was doing. And then it was like, okay, he can just focus on more of the coaching and that kind of stuff. So, and then it wasn't until we moved to Champaign that I did, I would say besides coaching, I did everything. And then his mom and dad did stuff for like in person, like being able to be at the club. And, if the toilet paper and soap needed to be refilled, or if there was like a roof guy needed to come or somebody, they were there. And behind the scenes, I did any kind of communication, all the tournament coordination, website, social media, basically anything that you need to do to run a club. So we obviously hired a coach to coach practices, and then we had assistants that Mike had that kind of stayed and helped run the club. And then that turned into we did that for 5 years. And then after we went through COVID, which obviously like the pandemic changed a lot of things with wrestling. But we were doing like Zoom stuff like this. And then we did small groups. So like the same kids kept, wrestling together. Like they were like practice partners, but it was like more strict about like who they were coming in with. Then Mike got the head coaching position. And then that kind of changed our whole not view on like youth wrestling, but it was just like time to like kind of give that up. And so he could focus fully. Not that he really had like a lot to do with the club, but it was just time for him to not have the club and be associated with that anymore. So then our head coach, we didn't want to like just leave him hanging. So we offered him to take over and do his own club. And then he would like rent the building from us. But then it turned into he found a new space that was a little bit more for like him starting out. What we had at our facility was it was too much as far as like financially, and he just didn't need 3.5 mats, a full weight room, just like kind of like all that stuff. So he ended up, and which was fine with us. We wanted it to be right for him and for us too. So it was like, we just need to make it the best case scenario, which was him. He actually just moved down the street and rented a smaller space. And then we sold the building. So we didn't even sell like Team Poeta. We just decided to sell the building. And so that went through March of last year. So yeah, it's been like a year and a half now that we haven't had the club. And I thought it was going to be like, this like huge like weight off my shoulders. And I just like miss it so much. So the good thing is that I do basically the same stuff that I did for our club, for Champaign Wrestling Club now. So I'm able to like still be super involved, and our head coach down here is great. And now I'm at the point where he calls and I answer no. Like, I'm not doing whatever you're about to ask me to do, because it's like so much stuff. But so yeah, I do things now that I didn't do before. We had never hosted a tournament. We hosted charity events to raise money for underserved wrestlers and in the Lake County community, which were crazy and big, and we had like over 400 people at most of them. So we did 4 of those. It was like 1 a year. And then so now I'm like doing like actual tournament directing, and kind of I do all the gear, so like all the apparel. Like I said, I was talking to you guys earlier about doing outside sales for chain wrestling, and yeah. So that's just kind of like something fun to do, and we know enough people in the wrestling community that yeah, it's just an opportunity for me to connect with other coaches and make sure that they're all set with their apparel for the year. But yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with that.
You're fine. So what was it like the first year as like a coach's wife for the college versus a coach's wife for the club? Like, how was that? Was it challenging? Was there new challenges?
Yeah, so the one thing that was really interesting to me was when you're a youth coach, you're gone like all night because it's like the kids get out of school, they have practice, and then Mike wouldn't get home until like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So he missed from like, basically noon until 10 p.m. every day. And the college guys, they're done with practice by 5:30, 6 o'clock. So he was like home during the week if they weren't traveling at 6 o'clock every night. And I was like, this is weird. Like, you're here for bedtime. Like, it was totally different. The parents, I think, are different. Dealing
Yeah.
You have amazing ones, and then you sometimes have those like bad eggs that like just kind of drive you crazy. So that I think is different because, in college, there is parent involvement, but not to the extent at all. They just really, I think I actually probably communicate with the parents more as his wife because we have like a group me and all the parents are in there, and we're like, hey, this is mom's weekend. This is what we're doing. Come over for our barbecue at our house. We're always updating on matches that are going on. Like the whole weekend at Midlands, one of the moms was in there and she was like letting us know what mat the guys were up on. So if you were at home and watching on Big Ten Plus, you could just be like, oh, okay, cool. I've got the mat. I'm going to like watch it. Or even if you were like Midlands, there were times where like I don't want to read the little tiny like screen that's way up there, like squinting my eyes. So I just look at the group me chat and be like, oh, okay, Edmund's up on mat 5 or whatever it was. So I'd say like, yeah, the parents, his going from like when we owned the club until now, I would say the biggest change has been it's hard for me to tell because I feel like as the head coach you're the CEO, and when you're an assistant of college wrestling you're just like you just wrestle with the guys, you're just doing more of like that stuff. And now as his role is a lot, just a lot more traveling because you're recruiting all year, pretty much year round. You're traveling with the team, they leave, let's say, to Midlands the day before, you go the day before because you want the guys to kind of shake off like the travel. Even if you're on a bus and it's only a few hours, I still feel like it's good for them to go up the day before, which they do. Obviously flying, it depends on like when their flights are. And then your 1 day of a duel becomes 3 days because you travel the day before, and then if it gets done, you're coming home the day after. And then I would say with the little kid stuff, like he would be gone all day on Sunday, but it wasn't like during the week travel. It was just a totally different schedule. So I think that those three things, probably like the travel, the parents, and then him being able to be home for like dinner during the week, would be the three that I think are the biggest differences.
Do you then do the IKWF stuff during the week, like with your kids, and then you guys like switch gears to like college stuff, like because you have NCAA stuff going, but the IKWF stuff is also like continuous. So like, is it just even like all wrestling like all the time? Like I feel like I have wrestling all the time, but hearing you, I'm like, okay, there's like travel, there's like all this stuff.
Yeah.
So are you like the IKWF designated person at your home for your kids?
Yeah. Like Mike is strictly like the NCAA stuff. And then if he's around and can make it to the boys tournaments, that's like amazing. I just have gone on to like understand, like if he's there, it's amazing. If he's not, like we're just used to that. Just act like he's not going to be there. And then if he can be there, great. Sometimes it's him like taking a flight, staying in a hotel. Like he did this for Neuqua Valley. He was in Ohio doing at like a high school tournament, flew back, stayed the night because he didn't get home till midnight, stayed the night in a hotel, and then drove over to the tournament in the morning, and then drove back. Like obviously we were in separate cars, but he was still able to see the boys wrestle, and they like absolutely love it when he's there. Like sometimes I feel like there's kids and parents that like they just prefer their like mom or dad to like not be as involved, but like my boys truly like love when he is there, and like and he doesn't even really he lets their like club coach them. But oh, just the thought I had. So this is the first year that we've ever had to deal with this, but the Big Ends and the IKWF state for novice and senior this year, or I think they're adding, is intermediate also at Rockford at the same time? I think so.
I actually was just looking up that on the IKWF website, they still have them as two separate dates.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were going to do Bantam separate or Bantam and intermediate together, but either way, they're on the same weekend this year, and we're devastated as a family because Rylan like just loves when his dad's there, and he's not going to be able to be there this year. Well, he has to make it there first, but he's been there the past 2 years, and Mike has been able to be there and be in his corner, and it's just like a special weekend for them. So we're bummed about that, but yeah, excited for all the new changes with like the IKWF and them like adding things and changing things. So I don't know if that had anything to do with, usually it's the weekend between sectionals and the NCAA. So I'm not sure what happened, but somehow it's on the same weekend this year. So
what do you do to like keep it all together?
Yes.
Like for your sanity, what do you do? Give us some tips.
Well, I have like a Google sheet that I make our schedule as far as the IKWF tournaments, and also the IESA duels and tournaments. So like they're all color coded. And this year we had 41 wrestling tournaments or duels to go to. Between November and March. And then I have like, so the boys, they sometimes go separate, like go to two different, like this weekend, Nico will be in Mattoon. He'll be in like with his kids club. And then for the first time, CWC is doing the IKWF state duels. So I've never done them before, but we have like enough kids at all the weights, and we're able to like kind of fill a roster. So we're going to go down to Edwardsville. And so Rylan is on that team. Ooh. And he's wrestling in Bloomington for IE on Saturday. And so he's going to weigh in there, and then he's got to be his weight for the IK stuff, which is 103, even though IE is 105. So he's like already thinking like, oh shoot, I have that extra 2 pounds that I gotta get off this week. So and the holidays have not like helped that at all. So it's so hard for them to be like super disciplined around the holidays. I like feel so bad for them. But yeah, I don't know. I just think I'm like constantly drowning in wrestling. It's a lot of back and forth with the practices. We do club practices, and then we're also doing like supplemental training with Relentless training center. So they're up I don't know exactly where Rochelle is at, but like maybe a little bit more north from you guys. And Jordan Blanton was an Illinois wrestler, and he had Jesse Delgado come back to Champaign, and he's like the Relentless coach here, and he does it at Huff Hall, which is so cool for the kids. So they've got a group of like 20, 25 guys that are training. And so they do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then our boys like club practices are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it works out perfect. So for the most part, yeah, like at practice the 5 days a week, and then doing all the stuff on the weekends. But the IE stuff is what's so different, because that's like during the week. Like the boys get picked up at school and they go as a team, and then I try to like, they go a little bit earlier because they like weigh in and they're hanging out and they're all like as a team, and then I'll go drive. It's usually within like an hour. They'll be at like another school. And that has been the most different for me, because when we had the club, we just did IK. Like, you know, the middle schools did their stuff, but those kids would come and train in our club. So I didn't really ever understand it until Rylan got involved in it, and he loves the dual team atmosphere so much. It's so fun for them. So yeah, and I think it gives them more, you know, they get more mat time, and we're lucky that our club coach also coaches the IE team, so that does help because it's the same practices. So he's not going to like 2 different practices. But yeah, to answer your question, I really don't know. I think I just am like fully like, I feel like I'm crazy. Like I run around and I'm like, what is even going on? And then I blink and the season's over, and it's every single year. It's the same thing that happens. I'm like, oh my gosh, wrestling's such a long season. It's so cold. It's like through winter. And then all of a sudden it's spring, and I'm like, now I'm like bored.
Bored, yes. Yeah, like I think we can totally relate. We do freestyle and Greco. Do you guys do any freestyle Greco?
So Rylan didn't take wrestling, he's my oldest, as seriously until the John Davis tournament last year. So the 2023 John Davis tournament, he like walked out of that tournament like so motivated to just do more, and really wanted to like kind of, you know, get better, do privates, do more than what he was doing with the club practices. And he normally played ball in the spring, and down in central Illinois, it's just totally different than like up in the suburbs, where you have a lot of different options for off season and freestyle training. So those being kind of limited down here, once he told me after the season was over, he lost in the blood round, so that was like tough. And he was like, I don't want to play baseball. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to wrestle freestyle. And I'm like, all right, let's figure it out. So we ended up, there's a club kind of close to here that he did training with and found love. So he's like all in for year round. And I really didn't, because like, unless your kid is in it, I didn't really have a reason to do anything other than like, obviously our regional training center with the college level stuff, but wasn't as involved in freestyle and Greco. So I didn't even know like how it was scored. I was like trying to learn the rules. It's so different. And I actually think it's harder as a fan until, I mean, obviously once you know both, it's great and you can understand it, but like learning it and understanding, like, I don't know, the matches can go so quick, and like, I don't know, it was just interesting. learning about all that this year. But yes, we kind of are newer to, obviously Mike is not at all new to it, but I as a mom am newer to it. But love it. I was laughing about your guys' stuff on Greco because I was listening and I was cracking up because Mike he was never really into Greco, like that wasn't really his thing. So he liked folk style and then he liked freestyle. And so now with like the link between like Washington High School and Brian Medlin and like they're all really big into Greco. And so but yeah, Rylan really loved it. So I just thought it was funny how everyone has their own favorite. And mine is folk style. So I think I still have to get more on like the rules and the way the points are scored and stuff. So
it's funny that you say about the points. So this weekend we were at a tournament and my son was wrestling and we like rewatched the video, but so he won the match, but we're like, if this was freestyle and Greco, you would have lost because he got thrown. So we're like, it's so funny that the same move in the other style, like he could have lost because he got thrown, so it was a 4, and then he got a reversal that's 2. If the match ended there, like he would have lost, even though he so it's just funny to think about all the time.
It is.
It's interesting. And now that in college wrestling, a takedown is worth 3 points. Completely thrown me off. Like the amount of people that yelled 2 like during the duels and at tournaments, and then you're like 2, oh wait 3. Like everyone does the same exact thing because you're so used to yelling 2, and it makes the matches so much more exciting. For example, let's say the score is 2-4, and the guys gets a takedown, he wins the match now. If you went from 2-5, and then you're 5-4, whereas before you just tied it up. So it makes the difference in some of these matches with, where they're at points wise. There's a lot more bonus points with majors and tech falls because it's so much easier to, before it'd be like, take him down, let him up. Okay, you're only up by 1. And then and do the same thing again. You're only up by 2. Now it's like, okay, no, you can really start scoring points. And I think it's been good. I wasn't really sure how I felt about it, but I do like the new 3 points for a takedown. I hope it goes down to like high school and youth. I think it just makes the matches more fun.
Yeah.
More points scored. And as far as like viewers like watching it, let's say they're like watching it on the Big Ten network, I think it's good for wrestling.
Yeah.
Like it makes it more, anything to make matches more exciting is like, I'm all in on that. Sometimes it's not so fun, not so exciting. If you don't know wrestling or you're not invested in the specific wrestler that you're watching, to like make them want to watch it kind of has to be exciting. And sometimes wrestlers just, their match is kind of boring. There's not a lot of points scored. So I hope in the long run it helps wrestling.
Yeah.
I think it will trickle down. Like it has to, like just in general. Because if you want to wrestle in college, like you need to have that type of like experience or whatever with the 3 points. So I think eventually it will, but we'll see.
I like hearing your take on it.
Yeah.
Because you're right, you're in the college wrestling world, we're not.
We just watch it from the TV.
Yeah, we just watch from the TV. So I like to hear your take on the 3-point takedown. Thank you for that.
Normally, like when we do stuff for the team, as far as like barbecues and dinners, it's not during the season because most of them can't eat like they would want to. But we don't wrestle for 12 days. So we're like, okay, this is a good time because we were trying to do something for the holidays, and like right before Midlands is not a good time because they can't really enjoy it. And then so we're like, okay, we'll do something on New Year's Day. And they don't wrestle until the 12th. So they can at least somewhat enjoy the dinner. But it's good. We love having the team over, and I think they like enjoy coming over. It's probably more fun in the summer when they can like play bags and like hang out outside. But yeah, like 40 of the guys will be crammed in my house for dinner
fun.
tonight.
That's so fun.
I actually was thinking about you guys because I know I said I was going to send you gear, but I have not seen Lucas Bird. And I saw him yesterday, but I didn't have anything for him to sign for your boys. So I said, okay, Bird, the next time I see you, he actually took my oldest to one of his practices that he was running, and he came in the house when he came to drop him off. So I will make sure that I get you guys that stuff because I feel like it's been something on my list of things to do. So I didn't forget about it. But that's why I didn't send anything because I hadn't seen Lucas. They honestly all have this. Basically, they have to stay on campus like throughout the holidays for the most part. Mike gives them like 4 days over Christmas, but otherwise they are on campus and practicing. Which campus is like dead during this time. Like they even like turn the they turn the stoplights off and it's just like a stop sign.
Wow.
It blinks like
that's crazy.
There's nobody. It's literally, I think the only people I see are the athletes.
Wow.
On campus.
Because I was there one time for break. Some international students that can't go home.
Oh.
They're also there for the break, but yeah.
Yes. That makes sense. Yeah, we love living like in a campus town. It's definitely took a little bit of like getting used to just because you feel like you have campus and then you have downtown and then you have more like suburbia. So when Mike was a wrestler down here, he wasn't looking at it like I'm going to raise my family here in the future. So he didn't ever leave campus or know anything about Champaign like outside of, being in college. And so when we moved down here, we were like, yeah, where do we live? And it's school of choice. So you can live anywhere in Champaign and go to any of the schools, which is actually, in my opinion, not the best thing. But that's like a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we'll have you on again.
We'll save that.
A non-wrestling one. And then Mike wanted to be within like 10-15 minutes of Huff Hall. And we ended up pretty close to Savoy, which is like the next town over. And we love our neighborhood. We're like 8 minutes from Huff. And it's fun because the kids, they get to go to like the basketball games and the football games. And we're obviously like right here for any of the, I know Yesenia's like, I see your post about the basketball. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
But yeah.
We love when all the teams are doing so good because it helps all the other sports, So last year for the football, like the town was electric. It's just so fun, like living where, the teams are doing good and it's just super exciting. I think last year during one of the recruiting trips, they had like a super exciting, like the football team was good. And there was like an exciting game that they all went to. And I swear every single one of them ended up committing to us because of like the game and the atmosphere around town and stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It helps all the little sports, us little guys.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap up the interview and kind of like since wrestling season is kind of like, we got through that big grind, right? We got through November, we got through December, now we're on to January. What are you most looking forward to towards the end of the season?
As a wrestling mom, I just love like the end of the season with regionals, sectionals, and state. I think we were saying that in the beginning, like it's cool that they're bringing on like the Bantams and the intermediates to be able to have that opportunity. I know they had midget state and Bantam state before, but I just think the IKWF like taking over and like what an awesome program and organization that we have. Like I think the IKWF is like the greatest youth sports organization. And I think we're just all really lucky that we get to experience the tournaments that they put on and the state series, like for the boys. It's just so amazing. I hope that the IKWF, once they're done in Rockford, I don't know if they have any kind of like contracts with
Oh.
being in Rockford, but if we could get them in Champaign, I would like absolutely
Yeah.
love that.
I would
So
love that.
that is
Yeah.
one of my goals, to get the state tournament down here in Champaign. And it's obviously here for the high school, so I think that it's just like another way to help kids like see like, okay, like this is where I want to go to
Yeah.
school, because it's super important for Mike to keep the really good Illinois kids come to Illinois. He was obviously an Illinois wrestler through the IKWF, the IHSA, and then at Illinois. And so obviously recruiting is extremely tough, but
Yeah.
with the new facility, and there's just a lot of like really cool things going on in our program. So I'm excited for the next immediate few years with the facility being built.
Yeah.
And then I'm excited for, as a mom, the state series, and then obviously the NCAA is, if we could have, I hope, like 7-8 qualifiers
Oh,
this year.
yeah.
That was super exciting. I love that it's in Kansas City. I've never
Okay.
been, so I'm really looking forward to it. My favorite NCAA tournament was when it was in Madison Square Garden and in New York. It was so fun. And my birthday is March 19th. So Mike always used it as an excuse. He'd be like, okay, we're going on this trip, but it's for your birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is for you.
I love that.
So then 3 years ago, I was pregnant and I was due like right around the NCAAs. And so it was the Friday night of the NCAA tournament, and they were in St. Louis that year. So I was 22. I started having contractions, and I'm like, oh no, like fourth baby, you cannot come right now. So Lucas Bird and Dylan Duncan were going to have place matches on Saturday morning, like that morning session. So I just told that baby, you stay, like you are not allowed to come out. And throughout the night, they were like 15 minutes apart, and like throughout the night I'm like, oh man, they're for sure gonna like start coming. And Mike had driven his car behind the bus because we knew that like there was like that a chance. So he wanted to be, and it being in St. Louis, he was like, I'll just drive home. The Big Tens that year were at Penn State. So State College, like you're basically like, I think a couple hours from any kind of like airport. And so he flew, and then it was kind of like, okay, we're going to hire a doula in case I can't get back. So we did that. And at that point, the hospitals still had like the rule, like only one person because of like all the COVID stuff. So, they didn't get closer and closer together. Like my contractions stayed like 15 minutes apart. In the morning, I called him at like 9 a.m. and I was like, I think after the place matches, you better come home because I think I'm gonna have this baby. And he was like, oh no, he like didn't believe me at first. He was like, you're like messing with me. And I said, I swear on everything, I'm not messing with you, but stay for their place matches, even if it meant I'm having this baby and like you have to be there. Like that was fine with me. But I said, if once they're done, try to get up here. So Lucas and Dylan had their matches, and then he left the stadium and came home, and we had her on 3:22, and it was funny because when I said 22, I meant 21, like the year 21.
You're good, yeah.
Okay.
But we had her on 3:22, and he said, I'll always remember that because college matches are 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes for the periods.
Aww.
So he can't
love
forget
that.
hers. And now he has another birthday to celebrate, like during the NCAA. Like, it's always like that week. So, but yeah, super excited about the NCAAs this year. Like I said, Kansas City is going to be a cool spot. It's like 5 hours from us, probably 7 or 8 from you guys. I'm not sure. But I love when it's in fun towns. I think we need to have it in like Florida or Hawaii or like
Yeah, we could go to
somewhere that
Hawaii.
would be like awesome in
Yes.
March. Why do we want to be in, you know, these like cold Detroit? I mean, who
Yeah.
wants to go to Detroit? No. Who wants to go to Cleveland like in March? Nobody. I don't even want to go there in the summer. So
No.
Yeah.
but I know they try to like do it in the Midwest for everybody, but I
Yeah.
just think it would be cool. Like if you're gonna get on a plane or you're gonna travel anyway, like at least travel to like Texas or some California, somewhere that's
Yeah.
good weather.
Yeah.
I agree.
Make it like a. Have you guys ever been?
I wanted to buy my husband tickets the year of COVID when it shut down, like right before the tournament.
Oh.
Do you remember? Like it was like a big thing.
No. My husband has gone to many of them. I think he has been going every year since he was like little. Like his dad would drive him. They would just go every year. He didn't go this last year. It didn't work out. But I think he wants to go this year very badly.
Yeah. Wait, Kansas City? Can we see Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Like, is she gonna be there? Like, let's go.
There is I just think the whole city down there is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited for that. Well, if you guys ever want to go, let me know. And we'll have you guys in the Illinois section with us.
Oh my gosh,
don't
yes.
tempt me
Yeah,
because
don't tempt
I'll
us.
do all the things for That's so funny. Okay, so just for the viewers out there, we hope to have Callie on again, whether it's virtual or in person.
Maybe.
Like, maybe for IHS. No, which state? IHSA state.
IHSA, yeah.
State. So that's in February. So if we can get like our timing right and all that, then we hopefully will have Callie on again. And then I don't know. I feel like maybe you could be the frequent guest.
Yeah.
Like it's not that hard to do the virtual thing.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, like would love to keep chatting about stuff. So anytime you guys want to chat again, I'm all in.
Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like there's, not to keep you a little bit, but I feel like there's so many routes we can take when talking to other wrestling moms and like wrestling wives. But like you mentioned so many things, and I'm like, oh, I want to explore that. And
Yeah.
you're like, let's talk more about that. But it's like such short time, so.
You know, I'd love to like do it in person because then I feel like we could connect more on like so many other things, and I feel like I could like ask you guys questions too because I have so many free.
Yeah. So we'll just do the really quick wrap up of the podcast stuff. So if you have any like questions for Callie, I think we had a few, but we didn't get to them because we like to talk, you know. But you know, send those in. Subscribe, follow, share the reels we post, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
There's merch. I had a few people come up to me at the tournament to say, hey, I want to get some merch. I'm like, go, get the merch.
Yeah.
I know you ordered merch. I just wore my merch the first time yesterday. But so thank you to all the people who are doing that. And anything else?
And we love you guys as always. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Callie. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, say hi to the team for us.
Yes, say hi to the team.
I will. I'll let them know that I was just on the podcast with
Woohoo!
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
That was so
Bye.
good.